Hello, everyone. I'm Forever Chosen, and thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. I am back. I'm excited to walk in fellowship with you all. And today's message is about how God tests us in our season. And y'all know me, obviously, these tests revolved around my dating life. Okay. So I'm eager to tell you guys what happened. So last year in October, I went to a concert with my family. We saw El DeBarge, Babyface, and Charlie Wilson, but I ended up driving my own vehicle there because I just got off work. And I decided to leave a little bit earlier from the concert. So as I was leaving, this man approached me and we were just talking. He walked me to my car. We sat in my car. Don't worry, y'all. It was an open parking lot. There was plenty of people and security, so I felt safe. We sat in my car, we talked, we exchanged numbers and social media, and that was it. I didn't hear from him, so I left it alone. Then, 3 months later, I was cleaning out my car and I noticed a phone in the passenger seat, underneath that seat there. And I was like, immediately, I knew it was his. So I called him from the number that we exchanged from, the number he was texting me on, and I told him that I had his phone. So we agreed to meet up. So now we're talking through text, and I happen to go on his page and I see him and a woman together at the bottom of his Instagram page. So I stopped texting him and I told him, I said, I don't want to disturb what you have going on. So then he tells me, oh, don't worry about the old pics on my Instagram. I don't be on there like that. And that is my ex. And she's trying to buy me back after all. He was just saying a bunch of blah, 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 right? Which still didn't make sense to me from a logical perspective. If you're not with that person, then why are they on your Instagram page, right? But honestly, I didn't even care that much because I only looked at him as a friend. But I really enjoyed his energy and I really wanted to have a male friend around, right? So we met up a couple of times just to talk and then we stopped talking. And we kept repeating the same pattern for the next few months until June of this year. So we went out to eat one day, and shortly after that, we started having even more deeper conversations about God, the future, our 5 year plan. And that's when everything started to, make a little bit more sense. So, of course, we get on the phone and he's talking about how broken he is and he doesn't have any family here, blah, blah, blah. So I turn my therapist mode switch on, which I have no proper degree in, by the way. And I just let him, unload whatever is on his chest. So he starts crying on the phone. And lo and behold, he tells me that his ex wife won't sign the divorce papers that he's been trying to serve her. He was saying all these horrible things about his ex. She's trying to keep him trapped, blah, blah, blah. He was telling me that's the only reason why he moved here was to be with his ex girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. He has no family or friends, blah, blah, blah. It sounded like he was depressed. And so, me being Miss, I can fix that. I felt really sad. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start praying for you. We're going to pray more. And I was like, telling him, I was like, you need to go to church and have the church people pray for you and stuff like that. So, for me, once he mentioned that, that completely sealed the deal that we were just going to be friends. Friends wise, he was a really cool dude. We had great conversations. And I told him, I said, what we have can't go any further because technically you're still married. So fast forward, we're chilling one day in my car at his apartment complex. He wanted me to come by just to talk and stuff. Mind you, I've never been inside his apartment. He asked me to come in and I said no. So we're having a conversation and he was like, my ex and her family, they live around the corner from here. They're not too far from here. So me being who I am, when he said that, that was my cue to leave because I was getting paranoid sitting in the car and I felt like he was trying to drag me into a situation I had no business being involved in. Before I left, he was like, I'm just going to leave everything here, my car, my apartment. I'm going to go live in Florida with my auntie. She's telling me to come back. And he asked me for a favor. And what he asked me was he asked me if I could buy his bus ticket back home. And I was like, sure, like I don't mind helping out. So I left, I went home, and something in my spirit told me not to send the money. So later that night, he calls me. I don't pick up the phone. He calls me again. I don't pick up the phone. But this time he leaves a voice message. So I go to the voice messages and I hear a woman say, his bags are packed at the door. And I also hear her screaming and yelling at him in the background. And he's like, oh, don't worry about the background noise. Just let me know if you can still help me with the ticket. Child, all I could do was laugh. I wasn't even upset. I just ended up blocking him on everything. And I just thank God that I listened to my intuition by not going in his apartment because I know what I would have walked into. And two, not helping him out to get back home to Florida. So here's where I effed up in the situation. I have this problem where I always want to save people. Most of the time, like I want what's best for them more than what they want for themselves. And that's a red flag of mine. God had him in a season for a reason, and I was trying to interfere with what God was doing in his life by being his clutch. You understand? Sometimes God will tear everything upside down so you can get closer to him. Not you hopping on to the next person hoping they can pull you out of the situation that you're in. And it's different when you're just trying to be an evangelist and educate and tell people about God, his favor, and his power when you depend on him versus that person actually going to God by themselves and depending on him, right? And clearly, I still have some lessons to learn with my discernment because, yet again, if you go back on my videos, this was another third party situation. Like all the signs were there with his ex still being in his life and on his page, and I ignored it. And it could have been a deadly situation if I walked into that apartment and stayed there until his ex showed up. In today's generation, having a wife or a husband and a person on the side is normal behavior. But I can't do what other folks do. I don't know about y'all. Let me know in the comments. Like, I can't do what other folks do because God will cause chaos and havoc in my life if I do sin like that. And I can't afford to recover from God's wrath. It's just too much. But me having my foot in the door as a friend was a problem. So just know that you cannot save people, only God can. Fast forward 3 weeks later, I'm on LinkedIn and I get a random message from some random man. I honestly don't know how he found me. We have no friends in common, no connections, no nothing. I saw that he was handsome. So we started talking and he was asking me about my day, what I do for a living, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me that he runs his own cybersecurity company. And later on, he tells me that he's a pastor. In my mind, I'm like, look at God, look at God. I hit the jackpot, already 2 out of 3 things on my list. God fearing, financially stable. So I was excited. I start Googling him and I find the church that he preaches at. It's in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is like 20 minutes from where I live. And I get to his biography. I start looking at all the events and church revivals that he's involved in. They listed all on the church page. So I'm reading through all of his accolades and I get all the way to the bottom of the page. Why is this man married with 6 kids? Yeah, yeah. I was in absolute shock too. I couldn't believe what I had just read, honestly. A pastor who preaches 20 minutes from me, who is married in my DMs. I can't make this up. And at first, I was like, you know what? I'm going up to that church and I'm going to tell his wife that her husband ain't ish. And I'm going to tell the whole church about everything else. I was like, you know what? What if she already knows that? What if she already knows her husband isn't ish? So my cousin talked me down from doing that. And I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, God sees. He sees what's going on. I don't need to do all that extra ghetto ish. And y'all have to realize, okay, the same way that God is watching you, trust me, the devil is too. He is waiting for you to mess up, okay? Until this day, I'm still in shock and I was a little bit scared that that happened to me. But at the same time, It reminded me that I 100% do have a God fearing kingdom spouse on the way, because stuff like that just doesn't happen. That was a destined test. For me, as a single woman, dating is about endurance. And I truly believe that God wants to see that I completely mean it when I say I know my worth. Because I have friends and family members who have entertained third party relationships, and they are in one, today. And they're okay with that. But this path that I'm on, I'm waiting on God to present my husband to me. Not me trying to find my husband, not me going out forcefully with intentions to meet my husband. You have to switch your focus to God, your dreams, your hobbies, and your purpose. Society is trying to force us into partnerships that are not aligned with God's purpose and will for us. And then we get into these relationships, we lose focus, we get depressed, we get stuck in soul ties, and that was never the intention of God's will for us. But the reality is, having someone around can be a distraction to you achieving what God has created and destined just for you. And I also know my kingdom spouse is on the way, because shortly after that, I had men from my past reaching out, which is crazy because we have nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about, bro. Don't spin a block, y'all. Don't spin a block. Just know that God has someone special just for you, but He wants to see how long you're going to wait for it, okay? He wants to see if you're really going to wait on Him to present that person to you, okay? Not you going out chasing after them. I told my friends too, you're single, delete the dating apps, okay? Those people are not ready. They're not ready. Especially if you continue to get ghosted, keep running to the same person over and over again. You feel like you're not having success in your love life. Babes, delete it. Shift your focus. Okay? Get to that bag. Get in the gym. That's what we doing. Let God do that. Let God do that for you. Please be discerning. Okay? The people that you meet, sometimes they come into your life just to test you. Okay? Just to get you tripped up. And like I said, we cannot afford to go backwards. Okay? Sin costs too much. It costs too much, y'all. Yeah, no. Exes, sorry. We not going. We don't want y'all. We want our kingdom spouse. Okay? Well, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow me, like, subscribe, share. I'm also on Instagram at Maya in the making _. And I will see you all soon. Stay blessed.